The human foreman found a dragon hatchling screaming in a forgotten alley until he was forced to raise it, beginning the Rust District. Rain fell hard over the Rust District of Hadrian Prime, a planet-sized factory world where humans live at the bottom of the galaxy's hierarchy. Smokestacks reached like broken bones into the yellow haze of the sky, coughing soot onto the slums below. Eli Grant wiped grease off his forearms and stepped out of the steel refinery gates. He was a foreman, but only in name. Robots did most of the work. Humans just made sure they didn't break. The alien overseers, scaled, tall, and cold-eyed, liked to keep a few humans in charge of menial supervision. It made them feel merciful. Eli had no family left. His wife had died in the biofire outbreaks. 10 years earlier, an industrial accident that everyone knew was caused by the aliens' negligence. His son, Kalen, was drafted to a mining war on the edge of the Nebula frontier and never returned. Eli lived alone in an apartment made of rust and sorrow. Every night, he walked the same alley back home, Sector 12's Forgotten Path, where broken drones lay like corpses and the smell of oil and decay mixed with acid rain. But that night, something broke the rhythm. A scream, not mechanical, not human, high-pitched, trembling, alive. Eli stopped. The sound echoed again, a mix between a cry and a hiss, coming from behind a pile of discarded engine coils. He hesitated. The district wasn't safe. Criminal scrappers sometimes baited workers with sound recordings, robbing them blind. But curiosity, and something deeper, something aching, pushed him forward. He moved aside the coils, and saw a small creature, curled in on itself, wings torn, scales glistening in the rain. Its chest heaved, golden eyes fluttering open in pain. A dragon hatchling. Not a drone, not a mutation. A living dragon, though dragons have been extinct for centuries. The creature's eyes locked on him and whimpered, a thin, human-like sound of fear. Eli crouched. Easy, little one. Its scales shimmered with faint blue light. The wings twitched, trying to lift. One was broken. When he reached out, the hatchling recoiled, then collapsed again. Eli could see circuitry embedded beneath its scales. Half flesh, half machine. A hybrid. Someone had experimented on it, maybe as a weapon or a bioengineered slave. He looked around. The alley was empty except for the rain and flickering neon signs. Eli sighed. You picked the wrong alley, kid. He wrapped the trembling hatchling in his old work jacket and carried it home. Middle, the forbidden bond. His apartment was a small square box above an abandoned service bay. He laid the creature on his workbench, where broken droids and spare metal parts waited for repair. Under the light, he saw more details. A microchip embedded near the spine. Flesh around it burned. Someone had tortured this hatchling. When he tried to remove the chip, it emitted a low hum, a distress signal. Eli panicked and smashed it with his wrench. Sparks flew. The hum died. The hatchling opened its eyes and let out a weak squeal. Then it looked straight at him, and the lights in the room flickered. The neural chip connected to Eli's old maintenance scanner, projecting fragments of encrypted data. Lines of alien script scrolled across the air. Eli caught one translation line before it vanished. Project Oryx, bioengineered Dragon-class Sentinel. Terminated for disobedience. He froze. Oryx. The project was forbidden. The alien overlords of Hadrian Prime, the Dravathi, had outlawed dragon engineering after one destroyed half a star system centuries ago. And now, a hatchling from that bloodline lay dying on his workbench. Eli should have reported it. He knew that. Hiding a creature like this was treason, punishable by disintegration. But when the hatchling lifted its head and made a small, trembling chirp, the sound of life begging not to be alone, something in him broke. He couldn't turn it in. He fed it what little synthetic protein he had. Over the next days, he patched its wing with polymer strips, replaced its cracked scales with metal scraps, and repaired his internal chip using black market parts. Slowly, the hatchling recovered. It began following him around the apartment, tripping over its tail, knocking over tools, and purring whenever he was near. He named it Ember for the faint orange glow in its chest. But the world outside wasn't forgiving. Surveillance drones swept the streets. Rumors spread about a forbidden creature seen near the Rust District. And one night, Eli came home to find his door open. Standing inside was Supervisor Caliph, one of the Dravathi enforcers, scaled, armor-plated, and tall enough to fill the doorway. Foreman Eli Grant, Caliph hissed, voice sharp as glass. We detected unauthorized biosignals in your sector. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? Eli's heart pounded. He could feel Ember hiding under the workbench, trembling. He forced a smile. Just malfunctioning droids, sir. been patching old circuits. Kaelith's yellow eyes scanned the room. For a long, silent moment, the alien listened. Then, with a faint smirk, he turned to leave. But before stepping out, he said, "Be careful what you fix, human. Some things are better broken." When he was gone, Ember crawled out, chirping nervously. Eli knelt beside it. "They'll kill you if they find you," he whispered. "We have to run." He looked out over the Rust District. Beyond the smoke, beyond the factories, was the outer rim, where no one cared who lived or died. It was time to leave. The journey through fire and steel. Eli modified a cargo hauler at the docks, stealing access codes from his own supervisor's terminal. He had Ember inside a containment crate. They left at dawn. The sky burned red from refinery smoke. Drones searched the skies, scanning every ship for biosignatures. Eli's heart thundered as he passed through the checkpoint. When a patrol scanner beeped, he thought it was over. But Ember somehow reached out through the ship's interface, disabling the scanner for 3 seconds. Enough to slip through undetected. Eli stared at the hatchling in disbelief. "You did that?" Ember tilted its head, making a soft mechanical trill. Days passed as they flew beyond the city world's orbit, through scrapyard asteroids and forgotten stations. Ember grew stronger, wings mending, body growing in size. And something else changed Eli's dreams. He began seeing memories that weren't his. Flames, wings, a vast silver dragon roaring across alien skies, a voice whispering in an ancient tongue. One night, Ember placed his head in his lap and emitted a hum that resonated with the ship's power core. The energy output increased. The hatchling was charging it. "Ember," he said softly, "were you?" The answer came not in words, but in feeling. "Protector. Alone. Need you." The neural bond was complete, but peace didn't last. A fleet of Dravathy hunters appeared on the radar. They had tracked a stolen ship, and Ember's signal, now too strong to hide. Eli pushed the hauler to full thrust, dodging plasma fire through asteroid fields. But the ship wasn't built for combat. Hull integrity fell fast. "Ember, hold on," he shouted. The hatchling's chest blazed. Scales splitting its energy surged from within. A beam of pure light erupted from its throat, slicing through an enemy ship like paper. Eli stared in awe, but the recoil knocked Ember unconscious. He managed to crash land the hauler on a desolate moon, shattered deserts and black glass stretching to the horizon. The Dravathy would be here soon. Eli built a shelter from the wreckage, tending to Ember as it recovered. Each night, the dragon hummed softly, its body glowing against the cold. And Eli began to feel something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. Ending. The rise of Ember. The Dravathy fleet finally descended. 10 ships, armored, humming with blue energy, landing in formation. Kaelith himself led them. Eli stood outside the wreckage, holding an old plasma cutter, the only weapon he had. Kaelith sneered. "You should have handed it over, human. Now you both die." Eli looked at Ember. The hatchling, though still small compared to a full dragon, had grown, wings spanning several meters, eyes burning with fierce light. Eli whispered, "If we die, we do it together." Kaelith raised his gauntlet. Fire. The sky exploded with plasma bolts. Eli ducked, shielding his eyes. Ember roared, a sound that split the air. The ground trembled as molten energy surged from his body, forming a shield of fire and light. Bolts disintegrated before reaching them. Kaelith screamed in rage and charged forward, but Ember took flight, its body radiating power, a storm of flame and lightning. "Ember, no." Eli shouted, but it was too late. The dragon unleashed everything. The battlefield became a sea of white fire. Ships melted. Armor turned to dust. Kaelith disintegrated mid-scream. And when it was over, Ember fell. Eli ran to the crater, finding the dragon weak, breathing heavily. "No, stay with me," he said, voice breaking. "You can't leave me, not after everything." Ember looked at him, eyes glowing softly. In his mind, he heard its final words. "You fix what was broken, now I fix the world." The light in its chest expanded, enveloping Eli, then spreading outward. When he opened his eyes, he stood in a vast, glowing field, the air clean, the sky blue. Ember stood before him, larger, radiant, no longer machine, but pure life. "You," he whispered. Ember's voice filled his mind. The fire cleansed the machine worlds. "You are free now." And then, with a sweep of its wings, Ember ascended into the new dawn above the reborn horizon. Eli fell to his knees, tears in his eyes. For the first time in his life, the world wasn't rust and smoke. It was alive. Epilogue. Years later, story spread of the Dragon of Hadrian, a being of light that freed enslaved worlds from the Dravati rule. And among those stories, wanderers whisper a lone human foreman who once found a hatchling in a forgotten alley and raised it to become a god.